Okay, I'm working on another Russian watch here. This is a Romanov, which is a modern Russian timepiece. This is a dress watch. Obviously, you can tell by the gold and the numbers, and it's a slim case. Automatic 25 jewel with the date complication. However, it is not powered by anything Russian, but Swiss, which is the 2824 ETA movement. I got this off of a guy on eBay. It's new old stock. He had this thing up for several weeks and nobody was bidding on it because it's not Swiss, it's not Russian, it's half and half. The Swiss people don't like it, the Russians don't like it. So I snagged it. It was new old stock, and the reason I think it was sitting and this person finally sold it, the spacer here, plastic spacer, was bent in, interfering with the rotor. The rotor would not rotate. Didn't affect the function of the watch other than it just wouldn't self-wind. So I sent him a lowball offer. He bid on it and I got it. It's a gold-plated movement, gold-plated case. Has nice decoration. It's not bad looking. Just not for the purist. So the first thing I did was take off the rotor. It's that center screw. The winding mechanism is held on by 2 screws. The reason I'm making another video on the ETA is several people contacted me saying there were some things they did not get a good look at on the video, whether it was off screen or I skipped over it, assuming everybody knew how this part came apart or what this function was. So rather than have somebody hostile at me and say bad things or post bad things, I figured let's do another one. And that movement, or that winder, will come off with a little nudging, and we're gonna take this winder apart later. It's fairly simple to do. I like to do that before I do anything. The mainspring is already let down, so we just need to remove the case, or the movement from the case. I'm going to pull the stem out, and right here we depress that little button and the stem comes out. Fairly simple. I like simple. And then the movement can lift out, although this spacer may hold that in there rather tightly. I believe it's wedged in there because there are no, here you go, there are no other devices holding that in. And I should be able to just flip that over and out it comes. Easy enough. I'm going to be putting this in the, let's get this out of the way. I'm going to be putting this in the ultrasonic cleaner. Everything will get cleaned up. And the first thing I'm going to do here, take those hands off. We're going to go through the whole process here of complete tear down. There's my little protector. Maybe this was one of the items somebody was not seeing properly on how a hand remover works. I just assume everybody knows because they are straightforward devices, but maybe I shouldn't assume that. There's the second hand. Minute hand, and let's come around here for the, I got a ray of sunshine coming in, look at that, playing havoc with my lighting. There's the hour hand, comes off. nicely. The nice thing about working on a quality movement and a quality case, everything is slick and comes apart nice. So I'm going to put in the stem back. We put the stem back in. Okay, that'll keep everything in place. One of the, let's get our pad down. One of the things somebody contacted me about, how do you get the dial off? Well, I just assumed everybody knew this, but maybe they don't. This is not screwed in. If you look here, let's focus. Look here, and 180 degrees apart, you can see a better view of what that is exactly. This little device will swing out of the way, and it's kind of a knife-edged device that grips the dial feet. And I think I can come in here. I should be able to come in here and walk that out, and just to install it, you just back it up, push it back in. Pretty straightforward. I just assumed everybody knew that. Well, that was my assumption. Some things I do, I assume people know how to do it if they've been around these. But what about the person who hasn't been around them? So there you go. That should come right off. Because everything is fit so beautifully, so slick, it literally flips, comes right off beautifully. Just slick, nice to work on. Of all the movements I've worked on, I gotta be honest with you, you just gotta appreciate the Swiss. Not that I don't appreciate anything else. Here's the dial. Not that I don't appreciate anything else, because I've got quite a few that I like. These are just a pleasure to work on. Easy, simple, just so nice. I know, can't say enough. So I'm gonna just push those back. Let's get back in the shot. I will try to cover these steps as clearly as possible, and try not to mix anything up or forget anything. So we're going to start on this side of the movement. And if I don't know the name of a part, I'm going to be honest, I don't know the name of that part. I do know the minute hand goes on that wheel, so I'm calling that the minute wheel. That I do know. So we have a screw here, and we have a screw here, and that is going to allow us to disassemble this side of the movement. There's my ray of sunshine coming in through the crack in the window shade. Let's get a different screwdriver. The nice thing about the Swiss and the Russians, let's be honest, no plastic parts. I did some work on a Seiko and was surprised at the amount of plastic parts it had. And I'm sure they are done and used for expenses. Here's the minute wheel. That's going to come right out. I don't like plastic. Now this wheel just floats. This is part of the quick date setting mechanism. That's a floater. It floats in that slot right there. We can take this out next. Did anybody see that? Probably not. See, we're going to do that again. There's a wheel, part of that date setting mechanism. Out it comes. Where was I? Plastic. I don't like plastic. I don't like plastic in my watches. I don't like plastic in my cars. Everything seems to be going to that. Now we have this plate over here, part of the date changing at midnight. This little gear, I believe, is attached to that plate and it's keyed in. It's a rather slick system. It's a pleasure to work on something that's quality made. This spring right here is a detent for the date ring. I'm going to get under that. It just popped out, but it didn't go far. It's not a high tension spring. Easy enough to remove and install. Next, our date ring can come out. Again, a pleasure to work on. Just beautiful. Another nice thing about Swiss Movements, the cannon pinion and its gear. That's your typical ETA cannon pinion assembly. It's not pressed on, but there is a press fit between those two gears. Very slick, very nice. A pleasure to work on. Here is our date changing wheel. If anybody saw my video on the Seiko, you can see this is tremendously easier to work on. Not that there's anything wrong with the Seiko. Okay, keyless works. We're going to come in here. One screw holds that in. I like to get a finger on it, get underneath, release that tension, and this whole assembly will come out. It's like a, let's see, did we see that in the shot? I don't want to miss anything. There it is. Again, I'm not a professional. I don't know what these parts are called. I know what some of them are called. I know this is the keyless works. After that, I'm kind of, I just wing it. Kind of the way I go through life. I'm just winging it. This lever will lift right off. Don't know what it's called, I'll be honest with you. If I sat down and learned all these, I'm sure I could figure it out. Okay. Now that that's apart, the stem. Let's get it in the shot. Maybe that was my problem with the other ones. I wasn't in the shot completely. Come on, my computer is slowing down. Come on, keep up. The stem can come out. I know what the stem is, at least. This is part of the winding mechanism, date setting, time setting, and hacking. Remember, this is a hacking movement. And the hacking lever is right there, right in the middle. That little gold piece. As that moves in and out, it will hack the balance wheel. And since we're over here this far, we're going to remove the balance jewel. It's a 2-prong spring, and then opens up like a trap door. Let's see a shot of that spring. There it is. There's a good shot of that spring. Okay. Then we can lift that out. This jewel and its capstone. And we're going to close this back up. Another slick system is the spring, the shock spring. Very slick. A delight to work with. Now, there's 16 minutes into this, and I'm going to keep these to within 15 minutes, so we're getting close. We're going to stop here and continue with the next one.